Okay, so here's the thing. Explaining Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, it's not exactly simple. On one side, we've got the game. On the other, we've got the history, so I figured, why not mix the two? Sneak in a bit of history while we're at it. That way, you can enjoy the story. And maybe even learn something new. Alright, let's go.
On one side, we've got Ghost of Tsushima, an open-world samurai epic with emotional weight and breathtaking visuals. On the other, we've got real-world history, Mongol invasions, legendary warlords, and one of the most chaotic eras in Japan and China's shared past. Part 1, The Game, Ghost of Tsushima. The story kicks off with the Mongol invasion of Japan, in 1274. Kublai Khan, ruler of the Mongol Empire and emperor of the Yuan dynasty in China, launches an attack on the island of Tsushima, the first line of defense before mainland Japan. He doesn't lead the invasion himself. That job falls to his cousin, General Khodan Khan. A fictional character, but inspired by real Mongol generals. And he comes prepared, not just with force, but with strategy. He studied the samurai. He knows their code of honor, and he knows how to break it. Tsushima is defended by Lord Shimura, the island's daimyo, or regional lord, and his nephew, Jin Sakai, our protagonist. The samurai ride out to meet the invaders head-on, because that's the way of the samurai, face your enemy with honor, even if it means death. But Khodan flips the board, ambushes them, crushes their army, captures Lord Shimura, and leaves Jin for dead. And that's when the game really begins. Becoming the Ghost. You play as Jin Sakai, wounded, broken, and forced to rethink everything he knows about being a samurai. If fighting with honor means losing everything, your people, your land, your family, is it still worth it? To save his home. Jin becomes the Ghost, a figure who fights in the shadows, breaks the samurai code, and inspires a rebellion. And that's the magic of Ghost of Tsushima. It takes a traditional honor and justice arc and twists it. It asks big questions. What is honor? How much does it cost? And, is it worth sacrificing lives to protect your code?
Damn!
Part 2, The History, Mongols, Samurai and Civil War. Now here's where it gets spicy, real history. Let's start with the Mongols. Under Genghis Khan and his descendants, they built the largest contiguous empire in human history. They didn't just conquer, they transformed. Trade routes, technology, communication, even their destruction often came with a strange kind of progress. For Ghost of Tsushima, the key figure is Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis, and emperor of the Yuan dynasty in China. He had already conquered China, and wanted to expand further, which brought him east, to Japan. But here's the twist. The Mongols never successfully invaded Japan. In 1274, and again in 1281, their fleets were wrecked by massive typhoons, what the Japanese called the kamikaze, or divine winds. At the same time, Japan was caught in a political storm known as the Sengoku Jidai, the Warring States period. This wasn't a united nation. It was daimyo versus daimyo, warlord versus warlord, each trying to seize land, power, and the ultimate title, shogun.
The battle has begun! Fight!
Enter Toyotomi Hideyoshi. He rose from humble beginnings to unify Japan after centuries of chaos. Technically, he never got the official title of shogun, but he had the power, the army, and the influence. Once he had Japan under control, he got ambitious. Next move. Invade the Korean peninsula, not just to conquer it, but to use it as a stepping stone to take on China. Spoiler, it failed. Badly.
I'm so sad. I am so sad.
Hideyoshi's failure cost him troops, influence, and allies. And that's when Tokugawa Ieyasu stepped in, the man who would become shogun of the Tokugawa shogunate.
I've got the power!
Unlike Hideyoshi, Ieyasu came from nobility. If you've watched the Shogun TV series, Lord Yoshii Toranaga is based on him. One of his smartest moves. Not joining Hideyoshi's Korean invasion. While others lost their armies, Ieyasu quietly built his. So when Hideyoshi died, Ieyasu had the strongest hand at the table. After some power struggles, Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged as shogun, uniting Japan under his rule. Part 3, Gameplay and Open World. Let's talk gameplay, the thing that keeps your hands sweaty and your heart racing. Ghost of Tsushima isn't just about watching a samurai story unfold, you live it. I'd break the gameplay into 3 parts: combat, exploration, and story. Section 8, Combat. Combat is where tradition meets finesse. Jin Sakai has 4 stances, each for a different enemy type: stone, for swordsmen; water, for shielded enemies; wind, for spearmen; moon, for brutes. Switching stances mid-fight. That's the difference between victory and defeat. Stealth is solid, with smoke bombs, takedowns, and chain assassinations, but it's not the game's strongest point. Exploration. This is where Ghost of Tsushima becomes art. Every hilltop, shrine, bamboo grove, golden forest, and crashing shoreline feels like a living painting. No flashing HUD markers. Just foxes, birds, and the wind guiding you to secrets. Hot springs to boost health, climbing shrines for rewards, bamboo challenges for precision, side quests with characters like Lady Masako and Ishikawa. Exploration here has soul. The story, Ghost vs. Samurai. The story is about evolution and the cost of survival. Jin starts as the perfect samurai, loyal to Bushido. But war changes him. When Lord Shimura insists victory must come with honor, Jin disagrees. For him, victory must come with as little bloodshed as possible, even if it means breaking the code. The tension explodes when Jin poisons enemy guards to save lives. To Shimura, that's betrayal. To Jin, it's survival. After defeating Koden Khan, the game ends with a choice: spare Shimura, or grant him an honorable death. Ghost, or samurai. Progress, or tradition.
Whoa!
Ghost of Tsushima isn't just about slicing through enemies or riding through lush forests, it's a game that asks questions. What does it mean to be honorable? Is tradition worth more than lives? Can a nation survive if it refuses to change? From the visceral combat, to the peaceful moments of exploration, to the emotional narrative arc, this game isn't just telling you a story. It's making you live through a transformation. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. I hope it inspires you to one day, of your own free will, pick up this game and experience the breathtaking island of Tsushima, its incredible people, and the unwavering spirit of its protector, to be their ghost. And when you tie it all back to the real historical tensions, the fall of Hideyoshi, the chaos of Sengoku Jidai, the ambitions of Kublai Khan, Ghost of Tsushima becomes so much more than just a game.